single mother, I'm a social justice activist, and I'm the chairperson of the Blanchardstown Traveller Development Group. Over the last 7 years, we have seen the most vulnerable in society bear the brunt of austerity, be they migrant communities, travellers, lone parents, the sick or the elderly. Our government has implemented cuts that have seen over 300,000 people emigrate in the last 4 years. Cuts that have seen 55% of our population, an increase in 55% of those affected by homelessness. Currently, 1/2 to 2/3 of those living in emergency accommodation are one-parent families, and 69% of one-parent families currently experience social and economic deprivation. Yet, our government has implemented further cuts on those families under the pretext that will incentivise them to take on more paid work. There are now fewer lone parents working than there were in 2012 when these cuts were originally introduced. There has been no impact assessment and no policy review carried out since. Now, for my personal story, and I promise I'll keep it short. Some years ago, I ended up working on a Pobble-funded scheme, a labour activation scheme. Now, I was surprised, having worked as a secondary school teacher, fully qualified, and as a third-level teacher, to be asked to teach, to train, to carry out curriculum development, to produce radio documentaries, and to complete complex funding applications, all for €8.65 an hour for 20 hours a week. I constantly applied for jobs, but rising rents and inaccessible childcare made that virtually impossible. When the rent supplement limit was introduced, I struggled to find accommodation, and soon afterwards I discovered I had a huge ovarian tumour. Unfortunately, my labour activation scheme did not pay sick leave, so after being operated and cut from hip to hip, I was expected back in work after only 10 days. I have since been diagnosed with a chronic illness, but for years I suffered in silence because I could not afford private health care. These recent cuts to one-parent families who have children over 7 would have left myself and my daughter living on just €169 a week. Now, luckily for me, I have found full-time employment since, but this would have been impossible. And on top of this, they expect us to pay water charges. I am certainly not paying mine. As the saying goes, you can take a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. There are so many of you out there in front of me, and so many of us in this country with stories much, much worse than mine. As it stands, 1 in 10 people in this country suffer from food poverty. 40 people a week lose their home to the housing crisis at the moment. Our hospital waiting lists continue to rise, and the number of people being treated on trolleys in our acute hospitals is rising day by day. Trolley figures are at a record high since they began to be recorded in this country. Our health service is in a state of national emergency. Contrast this, of course, with the failure to collect taxes from corporate Ireland and the softly approach to the abolition of the double Irish tax avoidance scheme availed of by many major multinationals. And we can see a clear policies after policy that protect the rich and hurt the vulnerable. The mass movement from people of all sectors of society that has mobilised and come together against the imposition of Irish water has the power to effect real political change. United under the principles of democracy, equality and social justice, we can change this country. We can fight for a fairer Ireland. So whether you can't pay or you won't pay in solidarity with those who can't, it is vital in this climate of inequality that we fight for our right to water, that we oppose these charges, and that we fight for public ownership of our water.
Freeda. Thank you very much, Freeda.